Has it really started? I don't know. It says it started. This is the Daily Freakout, and it all sounds different now that I've pressed the button. I don't know what's going on. It's fun and fantastic, and we're all enjoying ourselves, I'm sure. God damn. Um, Look, if I touch over here, it goes all hummy. Can you hear the hum? I can hear the hum, and it's so frustrating and annoying. I understand why I don't do this or why I'm not motivated to do this as much, because I always find the frustration involved with getting it started and getting it happening and actually getting it going is so annoying. And I understand why people have big studios where they just turn up and they have producers and all that kind of stuff. You think to yourself, oh, it's not that hard. You just talk to the camera all day and stuff, like TV shows and all that kind of stuff. But there's a reason why there's producers. There's a reason why there are people in the control room pressing the buttons, and there are researchers who get the information, and then there's a reason why there's the host who just does the hosting and all that kind of stuff. Because doing it all yourself can be very, very frustrating at times. And oh my Lord, am I frustrated with trying to get it happening and trying to get it going. But with the current economics situation around the world, I've got to get it going because I'm untrained in anything else that rather than just talking, and I have nothing to fall back on. So I hate to start the show with a downer. I'm actually going to start the show with a positive thing. The other day, I've been taking the bus a lot lately due to my car being unacceptable on the road. And there's been negatives. You spend a lot of time with the unfortunate and the people who are struggling in life, and that's unfortunate for them more so than it is for me. You always got to have some compassion for people who are struggling in life because obviously um, they're struggling, and I'm not struggling quite as much as them. But I saw a really awesome thing happen the other day, and that was a young fella, young boy, probably, I don't know, 12, 13, something like that. I'm going to hope to say 13. For some reason, 12 seems too young to be on the bus by himself doing his own thing, but 13 seems okay. And he had his fishing rod. I live on or in an area that is, how would you describe it? Fishing is a thing. Fishing happens quite a lot. I don't do it anywhere near enough. And the young fellow with his fishing rod was there. He was just sitting there, and he turned his head and he looked out the window and he saw his mate, and his face just lit up, and he was like, "Oh!" And the mate was exactly the same as him. To be clear, the mate was his size, his age, his demographic, everything. It was exactly the same. It was two peas in a pod. And he sort of got up and went to the door of the bus when his mate got on to sort of say, "Oh, hi, how are you?" And it reminded me of, like, the way that when a new animal, like a dog especially, because I've got dogs, the new dog will come into a room and the other dog goes up and is like, "Oh, hi, how you doing?" and stuff, and does a sniff and that. Obviously, these kids didn't sniff each other, but he got up and he went over to his friend, and his friend had a big grin on his face too, and they both had their fishing rods and stuff. And it was just this really nice moment. And I know it's because I've hit middle aged and these kind of nice little moments are affecting, or I'm noticing them a lot more. And the two of them were sitting there, and then they moved down to the other end of the bus, and then I stopped paying any attention to them and went back to looking at my phone and waiting for my stop. And it was just this nice little moment of two mates who had decided they were going to go fishing, and they'd worked out what time and what bus to take, and maybe I'm assuming they were probably texting each other, "Oh, I'm on the bus now, so it'll be the next one for you to get on," blah blah blah. And I hope they had a nice day just sitting there fishing wherever they ended up. And it was just this really nice little moment. And I was glad that I sort of got to witness it, because it doesn't necessarily change my view on life or change my life, but it does change. It gives a little bit of optimism, I think, especially for me. I don't know about you, but for me, it was this little bit of optimism for, look, the world's going to shit at the moment. Some people out there are doing terrible things towards everybody, towards anybody. Some people are struggling with the things that are going on. But these two kids were going to go do what kids have done in heaps of different cultures and worlds and everything for a very long time. They're going to go fishing and sit and chat and probably talk about life and that kind of thing. And you hope that, as someone who still is in contact with his best friend from primary school, I hope those two kids are still talking to each other in 50 years. Because it'd be nice to think that they go fishing again as old men with kids and families of their own, and they have survived World War III and they go fishing. That would be nice. It'd be a nice thought that hopefully we don't, the world doesn't go so far down and so terrible that these two kids can't go fishing. Because it was, yeah, just, as I said, nice little moment, nice little, um, really glad I got to witness it. Because again, optimism, positivity, and that kind of thing. Speaking of optimism and positivity and that kind of thing, we're going to go to our first news article of today, and we're going to completely put a downer on the world. The headline is, I hit the wrong one. There we go. That's the one I wanted to talk about first. US Navy picks robot sub mothership to unleash underwater drone swarms. It feels like the future of warfare is drone and drone warfare, whatever you want to call it. I don't know what the right thing would be. Now I've got to press this button and then I can press that button and then it's in the thing. Those of us watching on TikTok, if you go over to Twitch, I don't even know what my link is on Twitch. Didn't even know that this app had been signed in with Twitch. Is the hum too much? It's annoying the shit out of me, the hum. I've got to work out, see if I touch this. I think it's because nothing's grounded. I'm trying to do it all on battery, and I don't think anything's grounded, giving us this annoying hum. Anyway, the US Navy has tapped something DiveXL autonomous submarine for its combat autonomous platform, maritime platform project, which aims at rapidly developing a fleet of underwater motherships capable of deploying smaller autonomous vehicles and torpedoes. It feels to me like the future is going to be people playing video games, sending out drones to shoot and kill and bomb other people. That's what it feels like is happening. And this is the same kind of example, the kind of thing that a submarine will in the future have, they'll be able to float this submarine into a bay, set it up there and let it just sit there and let it wait and then turn it back on again and off it goes and kills a bunch of people. Like there's rumors, or I think during World War II, a Chinese or Japanese submarine was found in Sydney Harbour. Now I don't know, I haven't got a map planned and stuff, but that's a long way away from Japan for this submarine to have been hanging around and was found. And in the future, it feels like it'll be one of these drones. It'll be a little drone with a bunch of other drones, and it'll just all of a sudden everything will in a bay or a port will blow up. It won't be Pearl Harbor where the Japanese come flying in and kamikaze bomb everything. It'll be all of a sudden everything will just go, or they'll have the other team will have to have drones underwater all the time, searching and trying to make sure that there are no drones under there. It's just robots versus robots in the future. There was an episode, I think it was of Sliders, old sci-fi TV show, kind of cool, multi-dimensional, multiverse TV show, and there was an episode of that where there was this big robot warfare going on, and it was two robots, and they found out eventually that it was two people both controlling these robots from their computers, and that was the only two people alive left, or left alive. And they were shooting, just trying to kill each other, and they didn't realize that everyone else was gone, and they were just operating their robots from their own little lounge rooms. And it blows my mind that that's where it's going to go, because the war in Ukraine has been such a drone war going on, and people are always talking about how we don't want to send troops on the ground because that just kills people. You look at the American war in Iran at the moment, and they've already killed a heap of people. They've already killed a heap of soldiers. I think they're up to 6 or so soldiers that have already died. And it's like, why would you send your own troops? People, it feels like the people, the public, the average person won't have as much of a problem with war happening if soldiers from their own country, their own communities, don't have to go and fight and kill and die. But it'll be okay to send bombs and drones in to bomb places, because that just kills the enemy. And we, of course, don't care about the enemy. And so that's why we make everybody the enemy. So anyway, I really like everything about the military except for the killing. The tactics I find interesting. The survival I find interesting. The equipment I find interesting, and stuff. All that kind of stuff. I really like it all. The research, the reconnaissance, the stealth, going undetected, all that kind of stuff I think is fantastic. But I just don't like the killing. Why do we have to keep killing each other? Humans, always killing, always fighting over land, always having some big powerful guy saying we're going to take this and take that, and we're going to defend our home country because blah, 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 blah. It's just so frustrating as someone who just doesn't care about that kind of stuff. And I don't know what the answer is. Is there an answer? Is there a possibility that humanity can actually stop it and become a non-war creature? Non-war creature? Is that I don't know if that's the right terminology. But I don't know. Is it possible? Does religion hold a thing in it? All religions talk about how they're a peaceful religion, yet it always seems to be religious people fighting each other. And even the US at the moment some of the soldiers are saying this is we've been told to do this by God. God's on our side, and we're bringing the end times and all that kind of stuff. It's all very, very worrying for a little peacenik hippie like me that just wants to go sit in the woods and leave everyone else to it. It's very, very frustrating. Very, very annoying, very frustrating, and I don't know what else we can do to stop this kind of stuff from happening. How would you do it? Have you got an idea? If you've got an idea, please put it in the chat, put it in the comments, send me an email, bobbyfreakout@gmail.com. Because I'd love to try and work it out. I'd love to get people talking about how we can genuinely stop war, killing, suffering, all that kind of stuff. It doesn't seem to be something that anyone with any kind of power genuinely wants to stop. And I should not touch that because there's that hum again. Anyway, this is the Daily Freakout, and it's an incredibly unprofessional version of it because I've told myself that I just have to do it and we'll get better at it as we go. And then I have a day or a week like last week where I was like, I'm not going to do anything. I was all grumpy and mumbly and stuff, and I didn't do anything. And there was no show. There was nothing. And I sit there going, oh, if only I had a show, blah, blah, blah. And there was no show. So anyway, that's just me having a whinge. So I'll try not to do that again. Let's talk about something that's a bit whingy anyway again. Meta targeted old workers in layoffs. Lawsuit from former senior director for company claims. I am curious, at what point are you not allowed? And I sort of go with me on this, but bear with me. I'm sort of going with the company on this one, and I am not a company person. I'm never a company person. I'm always a worker person. I'm always for the workers. I always feel like the company should be grateful that the workers are working and should be, to a degree, you've still got to be productive and useful to the business overall, or else there's no point having you there. But I'm always on the workers' side, and I don't like Meta anymore, even though I use Instagram and I use Facebook Marketplace. Facebook, the only reason to have Facebook these days, in my opinion, is Marketplace, because almost every single group on Facebook Marketplace is full of absolutely insane people. Anyway, oh, fantastic. The article that I've got here, I have to provide an email to continue reading. So we're just going to do what everyone does these days and read the headline, and we're not going to read the full article or any other aspects from it. But Meta targeted older workers in layoffs lawsuit claims. At what point, if you're the business, are you not allowed to, or at what point is somebody else dictating who you're hiring? That's my question with this kind of thing. If I've got a business and I want it to aim at youthful people, and I want to have youthful workers in that business doing stuff, why am I not allowed to do that? It's this weird. It's a very weird thing. Now, again, I'm always on the workers' side, and so from a worker's perspective, I completely understand. It feels absolutely terrible to not have job security and to know that your job is safe. I currently am a casual employee. There's a possible future or soon future where my hours won't be as much as they are now, whether that's holiday time or the business closing down for renovations or whatever kind of stuff happens. Because I'm a casual, I don't have that security involved. I don't get holiday time. I don't get all this other stuff. And that isn't good. It doesn't feel good at all to have that. You work hard, you get paid. That's great. You enjoy the job, everything like that. But there's not that security. So I understand, especially as you get older, and then it's harder to find another job because you are old and people don't want old, they want new. But then I've had a very small amount of management experience where I understand an older worker is usually stuck in their ways, is a bit more stubborn. I am one of those older workers that's a bit stubborn and stuck in my ways. I can't deny that. And so I find it is probably harder to employ me and to use me. And so the same with, if you've got a company and you've got older people and they don't want to change with the business, what do? Do you then have to sacrifice profit, sacrifice money just so that you can keep these people on or pay them off to go away? This is a situation that I kind of understand it from Meta's perspective, but it's terrible from the worker's perspective. It's very frustrating for both. And I don't know this is another one where I don't know the answer, and I wish I did know the answer. Layoff allegedly cost 54-year-old worker millions in stock. What if they'd given him the heads up and said, hey, you should sell your stock so you can get the cash? Or did he lose the stock with the thing? If only we could read the rest of this. I don't want to give them my email because they'll just keep sending me spam. Of course, there's details in all this kind of stuff. We're just basing it off of headlines. So what can we do? Where do you go? How do you draw the line? Where is the line for who can be fired? Who can be allowed to let go? I've worked at a couple of places over the years where I'm just like, why the hell is that person still working here? They're rude, abusive. They don't get on with their co-workers. It's all a struggle. And then the powers that be are just like, oh no, we can't get rid of them. It's like, what do you mean you can't get rid of them? There's this. It's very strange. As I said, I'm on the workers' side 99.9% of the time, but sometimes the worker is not necessarily the only person involved that's has to be thought of and has to be cared for and that kind of thing. Sometimes the other workers are the ones, and then sometimes the productivity of the business. Now, Meta are not a good business. I don't like them. I don't think that they treat their staff that well. It's like Amazon. Getting rid of one customer or one employee is not going to bring out. Is not going to ruin their profit margin. Is not going to ruin the business and tank the business. Obviously, that's a lot more. You need to get rid of a lot more people for that to happen. So it's just so. Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the line? Where do you draw the rules? What are the rules? To quote It's Always Sunny. What are the rules? How can we work this stuff out? I don't know. It's very frustrating because even though the business is bad, you can sort of go, well, how are they meant to just keep people on forever who do nothing? Is that how you get those people that you see on Reddit occasionally saying, I don't do anything, I think my company's forgotten me? Is that how it works? I don't know. Anyway, that's a question. But again, send me in the chat, in the comments, email, send me your thoughts. Let's talk about this on another episode and work out where we go from here, or where can anyone go from here? Do we all have to be self-employed? What are workers' rights? And is it just like humans always going to be going to war? Is worker versus boss always going to be a battle? Is there always going to be a fight for workers' rights and bosses trying to claw back as much profit as possible? And is that, even though it's unfair at times, is that little equilibrium of fight back and forwards, is that how it's meant? Is that the best way it can be done? You look at nature and you go, well, nature is a constant battle between predator, prey, weather conditions, all that kind of stuff. And it's that if the argument of if a pride of lions gets too big and eats all of the animals, the pride of lions then has nothing to eat, and so they starve, and so then the animals come back, the antelope or whatever they eat come back. And it's that equilibrium of they effectively can't over harvest, over farm, over kill. What's that word? What is it that the people did to the buffaloes? That's not possible in nature as much. Maybe that battle between worker and boss is the way of keeping it somewhat relevant or somewhat under control. And maybe that's always going to be the case. I don't know. We'll see, because we've only got more time to watch these things happen and as they unfold in the world. Anyway, that's the Daily Freakout for Monday, the 23rd of March. Thank you so much for tuning in. Oh, wrong button. There we go. I'm going to get this working at some point. We're going to do it every day. Send me a message and tell me, come on, do it again tomorrow. Send me a news article, send me a headline, send me something, tell me what you think, tell me your views, tell me something you'd like to talk about. Send me an audio clip. Yeah, go on. BobbyFreakout@gmail.com. I will be here tomorrow, I hope. I've got a big, busy day of adventuring today. Check out the Bobby Freakout Hour on YouTube, because that's where the most creativity from my brain comes to land. And I hope you have a good Monday. I will see you tomorrow.